Robert Heffernan, EndoTech Analytics, streaming live exclusively for Pareto token holders, the Pareto Network. And it is Monday night, March 26th. It is Tuesday morning in Asia, the 27th. And that's what the sheet is. I just tweeted it out on Twitter. HFR from the floor is my Twitter handle. And so the sheet has been tweeted out, and we're going to go over it in just 1 second. First, though, let's do the rounds. Doing the rounds. It's a segment we do every day talking crypto, assets, things in the news. And, the thing that got me today that I had missed, I had completely missed it, was Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank Shark on CNBC, and this was from the 19th, so this is 7 days old. But completely missed his interaction with the blockchain and crypto environment, launching basically a asset-backed token with a hotel chain or a hotel in New York City. Supposedly, that news is supposed to be out in the next couple of weeks. Who they are, who's the partnering with that? But for me, it really just, again, man, one thing after another of people adopting the technology, and a lot of the comments was negative, and that here's just a bastardization maybe of the lofty goals of cryptography and the blockchain. But the other thing that it is also, though, is a disruptor from his point of view of the current power structure on how things get funded and how people can participate in investment of these things. Mostly the small investor completely blocked out of investing in things like this, and tokenization of that world is going to open up the investment vehicle for people with smaller net worths to participate. So, you read the comments and sometimes you get distracted by, well, maybe it's not completely taking the power structure down, but it's for surely going to make it more efficient, cheaper, and allow more people to participate in the model. So you can just search CNBC Kevin O'Leary. I'm sure that'll come up. It was an interesting little 3-minute. The other thing, too, that I've noticed is they're spending more time on CNBC with people from the crypto and blockchain world. That this is catching at least their attention, but the segments I've noticed, and I've watched CNBC for years, but the segment length dedicated to crypto and blockchain assets seems to be longer. Anyway, let's take the vitals and talk cryptos. Taking the vitals, we do it every day, the relative health and sickness, and let's get right to it. Relative health and sickness of a particular blockchain asset represented in the vital sheet. And there's that saying, you can't hide from the truth, and the truth is in the numbers. All right, you cannot hide from the truth. I said it yesterday on that weekly time frame that we opened above lower momentum on the weekly in Bitcoin, that number at 8250, but weren't able to close out of lower momentum from the previous week, 8531. And I was true to my itchy trigger finger when Bitcoin could not. And they didn't even put up a fight at 8250, to tell you the truth. When you look at the 4-hour chart, they blasted right through it. They did, though, come right back to that area. 8270 was the high, 73, something like that anyway, on the way back up. So they checked the level on the way back up. Currently, right now, trading 8188. So, the one thing I will say in the defense of a possible bottom is that they did put this thing way down and then close it, well into lower momentum on the daily, well into lower momentum on the weekly. And they rallied them back and closed them out of lower momentum on the daily. So it's not a complete shit show at this point. Really important for continued downward momentum for them to close in lower momentum, and they didn't do it. They were able to sustain a rally long enough to keep them out of lower momentum on the daily chart. But again, I am on the sidelines here, man. I actually think for the health of the market, we need to see a major washout down to the $6,000 or maybe $4,000 area. I have a nice dinner bet with Snark in Chicago, Bitcoin trading 3,500 for 2 dinners at Chicago Prime Steakhouse. I honestly am on the sidelines, though. I would really rather see a big washout that you can get then involved with longer term. And right now, how many days have we done this where they're in lower momentum, they come out, but they can't sustain anything out of lower momentum. So I'm on the sidelines. I want to see the washout happen. I can be talked back into this if they can, gain momentum here, at least take out the center line, some kind of rounding action on this chart. But for me right now, I just as soon stay on the sidelines, and I'm actually hoping for the washout to jump in. I know a lot of people aren't hoping for the washout, and especially since it's nearly impossible to trade from the short side. So at this point, that's all I can do is hope for a washout to weekly levels where I'm willing to take a stand for a longer term investment. All right, so that's what I'm looking for. I want this shit to wash out so I can jump in at a place where I'm like, you know what, I will own it there for months. And right now, we're just not there yet. There's too much potential on the downside for me to make that stand. Let's move on to Ethereum. We said last night, that Ethereum firmly in lower momentum on the weekly. It came in at 640 on the weekly, so hell and gone from a weekly momentum standpoint. Currently trading 489, now in lower momentum on the daily chart. And again, I'm out. I am completely on the sidelines. I trade a Poloniex and a Qcoin, and my money's in the Tether. I have a few other alts against Ethereum, so I'm not totally, because I believe they'll wash out too if the whole thing washes out. But again, Ethereum, just no technical strength evident in this market. All right, if this was a patient in the ER, we'd be saying this is a sick puppy here. In lower momentum on the daily, in lower momentum on the weekly, room on the weekly to 208. And believe me, if they washed out there, you get into these lower momentum levels in these things, and I'm going to jump in and put about 80 to 90% of my assets available in this space to work at those levels. All right. Again, patiently waiting. If they can prove something to me, if the market can prove something to me, I don't mind jumping in. I'm just not jumping in here. And onwards to XRP, 59.22. I told you the lower momentum weekly, 60 cents. How about the way numbers work? The lower momentum collar in XRP is Stugatz. It's zero. It's below zero. It's nothing. It's here. Hold on. We got it. It's the Lehman stock certificate. I keep that on my desk. The Lehman stock certificate, because I know things can go to zero. Weekly momentum in XRP was the 60-cent level, and they're fighting around that level. They did make it a low of 57 cents. That lower momentum collar today coming in at 53 cents. On a scalping basis, maybe if you're intraday trading these things, you could buy that 53 cent. It's also the recent low is at 53 cent level. Or if you have found some way to short these things, please email me, text me, tell me. You have a bookie that will take short bets in cryptos, because right now they all look like they need to wash out to much lower levels. And then, like I talked about yesterday in Ripple, I like that 30-cent level in Ripple. They spent 6 months with that kind of being the high. A retest of that, I think, for longer term play is a great place to jump in at. All right. So I am riding the pine. Let's keep it with the basketball vernacular. I am riding the pine until this market can really wash out to levels that are longer term, excellent places to be involved, or they can somehow churn their way around and out of these lower momentum levels and build a story for longer term trading upside potential. But I am not seeing it right now. All right, you guys have a great trading day tomorrow. If you're in Asia, you're already trading, stay at it. All right, stay disciplined, and we'll see you tomorrow.